In preparing for assessment, and in particular for this reflective review of my learning journey through landscape, place and environment, I've been aware of three main threads that are connected most of my assignment work. First, I'm thoroughly enjoying subverting the normal notions of the picturesque by applying picturesque conventions and techniques to subjects and scenes that would not normally be considered picturesque, things such as the pylons that are behind me. Second, I've discovered a love for the edgelands. I've always enjoyed the geographical edgelands, the coastlines, the cliff tops, but I've had the opportunity now to look more closely at the conceptual edgelands, the things described by Farley and Roberts. Third, it's given me the opportunity to experiment with alternative forms of presentation, going beyond simply the box full of prints or the prints on the exhibition wall. In assignment 1, we're briefed to support, question or subvert accepted notions of the picturesque. I chose to subvert them by making picturesque images of electricity pylons, things that might normally be cloned out from landscape images or framed to avoid. Pylons can be made to fit the compositional tropes of leading lines, foreground interest or framing elements. This scene reminded me of one of Ed Ruscha's gasoline stations, planted in the middle of nowhere. Here there's a nod towards Constable's Haywain, and this is an homage to de Loutherbourg's Coldbrook Vale at night. For my Dungeness project of assignment 3, I looked at the 19th century Japanese prints Noshoni of Mount Fuji by Katsushika Hokusai and Utagawa Hiroshiga. In these prints, Fujiyama appears as a prominent background element rather than the main subject, but the overall effect of both series is to emphasise its omnipresence and importance. Dungeness, a gravel spit at the southeast corner of Romney Marsh, which is itself the southeast corner of England, is both a geographical and conceptual edgelands location. It's an ecologically important space, including a nature reserve and a bird sanctuary. The place is Dungeness Estate, a sort of shanty town housing a fishing and artistic community, also a day trip destination, terminus of the Romney Hyde and Dymchurch Railway, and allegedly the home of the best fish and chips in England. The space and the place are linked by the dominating presence of a pair of nuclear power stations, which can be seen on the horizon for miles around. In homage to Hokusai and Hiroshiga's views of Mount Fuji, I've composed to place the power stations in the background of all 12 of my images, and titled the project A Dozen Views of Dungeness B. For assignment 2, A Journey, I followed the River Len in Kent for 10 miles from its source to joining the Medway in the centre of Maidstone. I had three reasons. First, the scale of the project was achievable in the context of lockdown travel restrictions. Second, I see the Len as an edgelands river. It mainly runs in woodland between field boundaries, and then in Maidstone some 50% of its length is hidden underground, mostly below car parks. Third, I was intrigued by a conceptual narrative of the Len as Kent's forgotten river. It was once economically important as a power source. There are records of some 20 watermills in its 10-mile length, all of which are now gone or repurposed, and the river itself is mostly ignored or hidden. It was here at Haysden Country Park, below the elevated A21, that I had my road to Damascus moment regarding graffiti and decided to use it as the basis for my assignment 5 self-directed project. It's not the graffiti that's the alien elements here, but the concrete monoliths. The graffiti adds a humanising touch, as if a community is reclaiming its environment. In the graffiti at Shornmead Fort, beside the Thames downriver from Gravesend, I found a sense of a community creating its own place in the world. In addition to the usual tags and identifier pieces, there are messages and even some memorials. Graffiti, particularly at the hands of skilled practitioners, is a vibrant and evolving art form. This bridge, below the M20 where it crosses the Medway, has the feel of an art gallery. Graffiti pieces are particularly elaborate, and I've seen them discussed on YouTube in the same way that a conventional curator might discuss a painting hung on a gallery wall. With the advent of digital assessment, the box of prints is no longer the default mode for presenting assignment work for assessment. In assignment 6, I combined 44 images taken over the course of a year into a single movie file. Assignment 2, A Journey, has an obvious linear narrative, which makes it suitable for presentation in book form. In assignment 5, the self-directed project, the informal nature of the subject matter of graffiti and my grouping it into 3 principal locations suggested publishing in the form of 3 related zines. For this project I handcrafted the zines and also a slipcase for presentation. There was a 4th theme, and that theme was COVID-19. Undertaking a landscape photography course in the same 18 months as national lockdowns and travel restrictions was not ideal. However, with a certain amount of luck and by staying local, all of my assignment work was carried out within the county of Kent. I completed it and in the process managed to show that it's possible to make meaningful landscape projects without going to distant exotic locations. Overall, I found this level 2 course a definite step up from level 1, and I'm very much looking forward to starting the next one.